Have you ever experienced regret when you've bought a house? Today I'm going to dive into the top 5 things most homebuyers regret not asking when they make potentially one of the largest purchases of their entire life. And regret is something that I don't want to see any of you have to experience when you're buying your home, whether it's your first home, your second home, or the last home you're ever going to purchase. So today we're going to dive into 5 things that most people regret not asking when they're going through the home buying process. And these things can affect not only the sustainability of your house, the resale value, and some of the quality of life. So stay tuned. Let's dive into it. Thanks for joining me. My name's David Moyer. I'm with Keller Williams Advisors here in Dayton, Ohio. If this is your first time visiting my channel, make sure you subscribe. There are updates every single week, and there's guaranteed to be a topic that you're going to find of value. And I look forward to helping you with your next real estate transaction. So let's dive into the number one thing that a lot of buyers regret not asking about, but is extremely important, and that is crime rates. Crime rates raise a lot of red flags, and it's important to know the data before you go into entering into a contract to purchase a home, because once you purchase that home is yours until you sell it. So crime statistics can go a long way. And as a licensed real estate agent, we can't tell you one way or the other what the crime statistics are. We can only point you in the right direction. So the first thing I always tell my clients when they ask me about crime rates for a certain area is to go online and search the local police department. You can also go on to a website called Spot Crime, and you can see what the statistics are for a certain neighborhood or a certain area that you're looking to live in. And because you're moving out into the suburbs doesn't mean there hasn't been crime there in the past. And because you're purchasing a home where something has happened recently, especially when it comes to crime, it doesn't mean the neighborhood is not safe. Crime can happen statistically anywhere, but it's important to know if there are trends and if the neighborhood has a reputation. Because when it comes down to the reputation of the property, the reputation of the neighborhood, the crime stats can help you determine, is my home going to continue to gain value during the time that I live here? So if I ever have to move or want to move, the home has gone up in value, and the crime that's happening in the area doesn't affect that value and doesn't affect me and my family or you yourself as a homeowner. So looking into those crime statistics can go a long way. Let's get down to the facts. Contact the sheriff's department. They are more than happy to tell you what the statistics are for the neighborhood that you're looking to buy in, and you can use that when it comes time to negotiate on that home or whether or not you decide to write the offer or not. Crime statistics go a long way. If you're looking to buy a home, let's check on those first before you ever make that move. Now, the next big thing a lot of people regret not asking about in advance is the school system. And it's important to understand that even if you don't have kids, plan on having kids, the school system still affects the value of the property. This also is a direct correlation to the taxes you pay on the property. So you may look at certain areas like Kettering or Centerville or Oakwood and say, those taxes are really high compared to somewhere else like Bellbrook or Vandalia or the city of Dayton. And it's important to know that those taxes reflect the impact that the school system has on that area. When you're looking at a property, even if you don't have kids that are going to be going to school anytime soon, the school district can impact the value and the appreciation of the property. If you have a school system that is starting to fail, that is something to take into an account when you're purchasing the home, if you ever plan on selling that home again in the future. Make sure that you check that out. This is something as a licensed real estate agent, we can't tell you one way or the other. Our opinion on the matter does not matter. What agents is I encourage everybody to go to the state website, the Board of Education, and look at the state report cards for each of these school districts that you're looking to make a purchase in. And if those school districts have a good B, A, or even A+ rating, that's a good sign. You can also check out greatschools.org, and that is going to give you a breakdown of the reputation of those school districts and how well they support their community. Because you don't have kids, school districts still make a huge impact on the value of your home and how you should negotiate on that property and whether or not you should be buying in that area. Now, if you're a commuter and you're not one of the lucky few that gets to work from home, knowing what your commute is going to look like is extremely important, and knowing what the neighborhood traffic patterns are. If you're a commuter and you're looking to buy somewhere where you're not 100% familiar with the area, the first thing I recommend if we're seeing a property, especially if we're looking at that property over the weekend or we're looking at that property in the evenings or in the middle of the day, is before you write that offer, unless it's a dire circumstance and you must write that offer right away, is come back out to the property, do a drive-by, drive around the neighborhood, drive around the area where that home is, and see what the commute is like, see what the traffic patterns are like. Here in the greater Dayton area, our major interstates are Interstate 675, 75, and 35. If you live close to either of those, you're going to have a little bit of an easier commute getting on and off the interstate. You can go anywhere in Dayton. And keep in mind, it's anecdotal, but here in the greater Dayton area, you can get about anywhere within 15, 20, 25 minutes, regardless of where you live. But if that time is important to you, make sure you know what those traffic patterns are like. Show up to the neighborhood at 5 o'clock on a Friday or 5 o'clock on a Thursday and see what the traffic looks like. If it's something that you don't think you'd be able to handle for the next 3, 4, 5 years of your life, that home is not for you. But if the home is perfect, that commute is something that you can negotiate with. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be the future developments that are going to be happening in the area where you're looking to purchase your home. And this doesn't mean what other properties are coming up, what other new home construction there may be. Home construction, especially new home construction, is huge right now in the greater Dayton area. But that is not going to affect the value. What you want to do if you're purchasing a home in an area, let's say such as Beavercreek or Xenia or Vandalia, where there's room to expand and you're next to an area that is vacant farmland, commercial land, or something of that kind, you want to make sure that the zoning is not zoned to make that officially commercial or put something in place that is going to have an adverse effect on your property. Let's take, for instance, up in Vandalia and in the Kettering area where there is a huge Amazon distribution center. If you're looking to purchase in those areas, before those went up and you were not aware that that was going to happen, next thing you know, 6 months, a year, 2 years into living in that property, construction begins, and now you have a gigantic warehouse not too far from your property. Now, for a lot of people, this may not bother them whatsoever, but depending on the type of home you're looking at, and once again, going back to those commutes, having the development happen when you already own the home can have an adverse effect on what you're able to get for that home if and when you go to sell that. So if you're looking to find out some information on any future plans, talk to the zoning department. I can put you in contact with the township or the city zoning departments, find out if there are any plans in place, in negotiations, what the future plans are, and go from there. If the cities tell you there are no plans whatsoever when it comes to zoning in the area you're looking to buy the home, then that's the information that you go with, and there's nothing you can do should something happen 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road. Also, if you're looking to purchase a home next to a place where there's going to be some new construction for residential properties, that can be a huge benefit. If you're looking to purchase a home and there's a new home construction site coming up down the street, those property values are probably going to continue to increase, and the new construction is going to help that tremendously. That's going to be a wise investment to get in before those properties start to push up the appreciation and you're paying more for that property down the road. Now, the number 5 thing that a lot of people regret not asking about, and you're going to laugh at me when I say this, is what are the vibes? What are the vibes of the neighborhood? And this goes back to where I recommend, if you're unfamiliar with a certain neighborhood, a certain area of town, that you visit that during peak hours of socialization or commuting times. What are the vibes? Here's an example. If you're looking to live, let's say in the downtown area, there are certain historical districts that you want to be aware of what happens on the weekends or in the evenings. Take, for instance, St. Anne's Hill in downtown Dayton. It is a quiet, historic neighborhood that has nice walkable features and lots of amenities and easy access to a lot of things that downtown Dayton has to offer. There are a few restaurants and shops that are locally located, and they can add a lot of value to your life and your enjoyment of living in the property. Likewise, if you live somewhere like in the Oregon District in downtown Dayton, the Oregon District is a social hub in the downtown Dayton neighborhood. There are a lot of bars and restaurants and nightlife and festivals that happen, and if that's not your vibe, then maybe living in those historical neighborhoods is not necessarily going to be for you. But if it is your vibe, that's going to be a huge plus when it comes time for you to move into that property, start your life there, and enjoy everything the community has to offer. And likewise, if you're looking to live in a suburb and you're thinking, I would love to be able to access certain features, maybe I want to walk somewhere, or maybe I want something that's peaceful and quiet and there's never any interruptions, once again, go back at 5 o'clock on a Friday, go at 6 o'clock on a Friday, go on a Saturday afternoon, and then go on a Monday afternoon and get a sense for what the community has to offer, how the vibes change, and what that means for you and your family once you're living in that property. All those are the top 5 things you should consider and not regret when you purchase a home. Make sure you ask those questions. Make sure you do your research. If you don't know where to start, ask me and I can guide you along the way. That's what I'm here for. I have a fiduciary to my clients. So if you have any questions, if you're not from the area and you're moving to the area and you want to know more about each and every single neighborhood, you want to know how one compares to the other, I can point you in the right direction so you can make ultimately the best decision for you and your family. And I'm curious, what are some surprising things that you know about the greater Dayton area or a neighborhood that you've lived in or wanted to live in and then changed your mind? I would love to know, and maybe somebody else that's watching this channel would love to know as well. Make sure you comment below. I would love to hear from you and answer any questions you may have. It's a great week in Dayton. It's always a great time in Dayton, and I love selling real estate in Dayton, Ohio. Thanks for watching.